My official prediction, Demetrious Johnson versus Moraes goes down this Friday. Hear me out. Hear me out on this because Demetrious has a big problem. He does. And I know that in your minds, and there's nothing truer in life that really gets magnified right through the lens in this sport of perception being reality. Demetrious is your guy. Demetrious is the name. He's the one that you're familiar with. The history be damned, the fact that they've met up before, throw it all out, it's Mighty Mouse. Hold on. So, particularly if you got your information from me, because I got one thing that's wrong. So Demetrious is signed for 125 pounds, which is known as flyweight. All of that is accurate. One Championship is the only organization to do this, and they did this years ago. I forgot. Simple as that. There's my disclaimer and my disclosure. They have a hydration test. They don't want guys going in and sucking out all this weight. They found that it was unhealthy, as many organizations did. They stepped forward and did something about it, and I don't have the intricacies of it, but they have a hydration test. So 125 is now 135. Demetrious fights at 135. That's a big deal. A lot of our breakdown and our analysis had to do with that weight class and the struggles that Moraes is going to have to make it. Guys, I shared with you, name drop, and I end up in California. I miss my flight. I find out one's in town. I go to the gym. I'm with all of these guys, including Moraes. I came aware there with one opinion, which is, darn it, that's a big 25-pounder. And I shared that with you. Man, this guy's a big 25-pounder. I don't know how he's going to make it. Okay, turns out 135 pounds, 10 pounds, so what? Well, when you're that weight, you're talking about 6.5%, 7% off the top of my head. You're talking about 6 to 7% of your body weight in total. Very big deal. 10 pounds down there. How does Moraes make it? Can Moraes make it? Is the championship going to be preserved? Is this an Oliveira situation? We're all just waiting for this to go down. And I'll tell you one thing about hydration tests. The sport has stepped in to try to do away with weight cutting. And this dialogue has been out there, and we've got executive directors, and we've got doctors. We've had some really good thought on this. The NCAA already did it. You can take all the guesses that you want, but the NCAA in 1998 did it. And you want to know what they did? First off, they did a hydration test, exactly what One Championship is doing. They would weigh a person, they would do a composition, check your body fat, see what you could lose in a healthy manner. But when you did that, you must be hydrated so they know what you weighed. Now, it's very effective. Right? If a guy cuts a bunch of weight and then he comes in and now he qualifies for this different weight, you got to make sure that the guy's hydrated and he hasn't pulled any weight out. So when One Championship stepped forward and started doing this, even if I don't have the intricacies, I feel as though I have a pretty good idea because it was done in the NCAA, of which I lived through. Okay, so you have Demetrious at 135 pounds. Now, Demetrious's record, World Championship, #1 fighter in the world. 12 in a row. All of these things had to do with 125. However, he was taking on guys that were cutting weight. So when you get in the ring, you're basically talking about the same guys. You're talking about the same size. Now, if I get a call that comes in, I'm going to grab it in front of you guys, but it's Henry Cejudo. And Henry Cejudo is not just a former rival or opponent of Demetrious. He's now Henry Cejudo's a coach now. Henry says that he's coming back. He might be in the gym getting his own training, but he for sure is in there and he's preparing other people. I want to hear from Henry's standpoint how Demetrious plans to get inside. That's it. That's all I want to know. How do you plan to get inside? Because when I'm talking to you guys, and I've got to give a prediction here, and I've got to tell you who's going to win. I don't want to fall in the same trap that I think most of us do, and I'm not trying to condescend to you. I'm guilty of it too, which is what guy are we more familiar with? Whoever is more popular is going to be the winner. This might be Henry. I don't want to do that. And it's a little bit of a trick because Demetrious is going to have to get inside. I mean, he has to. If he wants to take him down, if that's the big plan, is to go to the ground. Which the last time Demetrious went to the ground with Moraes, he got choked out. So maybe you're thinking, oh, he doesn't want to go to the ground. The other side of it is Demetrious' speed. He's lightning fast. Lightning. It's like a joke. You guys ever watch Bruce Lee films? And he's so incredibly quick. But then we find out over time that the editing room had a way to speed up the tape. I'm telling Demetrious is like that. When I used to break him down and I had to cover him for Fox or for ESPN, guys, show me that again and show it in slow motion. That kind of quick. Now, Demetrious had one great experience, which was his very last one. He ends up there with Rodtang in a mixed rules bout. The mixed rules bout, as he's in there, I'm talking about Demetrious with one of the great strikers on earth, is that they're going to strike for a round and then they're going to do MMA for a round. They're going to strike for a round. They're going to go back and forth. Demetrious ended up getting his hands on him, got to the ground, finished this contest. But he still had to prepare. He still had to prepare and he still had to be ready. And Demetrious did land his shots. He moved and he was quick, but he did touch Rodtang. It was not the strategy that many people thought, that he was going to dance and he was going to move away and he was going to chew up some clock until it gets to what favors him, which is going to be round 2, which was MMA. That preparation matters. I can remember when Conor McGregor come off of something similar. But he's training for Floyd Mayweather, then he's going to go back into MMA. Now, we gave Conor a lot of grace as he went into this MMA fight, that he's going to do real well in the stand-up, that he's really polished this, that he wasn't well-rounded for the last 10 months. He wasn't trying everything for the last 10 months. He was fully focused twice a day, every day, take a rest on Sunday, boxing. And those preparations do matter. They do tell us a lot. And I do gather that Demetrious is going to be able to get inside. I think that 135 is very relevant. Just put my eyes on a guy, right? Judge a book by the cover. But guys, there's a reason we face him off. The lines have moved when people have done face-offs. Daniel Cormier was a 2.5-to-1 underdog against Stipe going to the very first fight. They faced him off. It ended up being even money by the next day. Daniel was moving up. He's moved up to heavyweight. He just isn't big enough. We faced him off. He's big enough. We didn't know that. We miscalculated. I'm sharing for you. It's a very relevant thing. Because when I look at Moraes, what are you going to do with this guy? He was so long. Oh, he was so long. It hit you from the other side of the room. But I also have to give Demetrious credit to the short term. I could go back to the first time that these guys fought. That's a very good piece of evidence for breaking this down. But if I was to just go to the short term, we love to say in this sport, you're only as good as your last fight. Well, then let me use that adage and let me take a look at Demetrious' last fight. He knows how to get inside. He knows how to touch the body. Does he plan to do that and stay on his feet? Does he plan to drag him down to the ground? I'm talking about Demetrious got submitted last time, went to the ground with this guy, but that's not the full story. The guy had the dominant position. He got on Demetrious' back. It's very different than Demetrious is up. If he's sitting up, if he's postured right, it's just a very different contest. But I don't think that I can come to you guys and be fair and objective by handing you the name that you like the most, that you're most familiar with. I don't think that it would be accurate to say, well, you know, Demetrious had gone through a Grand Prix and then he was jumping in. There was a championship fight. It was pretty quick and he wasn't familiar with the organization. Like, I do think that those things are all relevant. I do think that they're a piece of it. I just think that if we go with that narrative, we're dismissing an incredible accomplishment by Moraes, of which he might stamp again Friday night. It's interesting. How bad is Moraes going to be hurting from that weight cut? When he was going to 125 pounds, which I now find out is actually 135, it's a very different conversation. Demetrious needs to get a hold of this guy. Demetrious can't be afraid to go to the ground. He's got to put that fight that he did, he's got to put that behind him and make sure it's in the past. I trust he's going to do that. I'm taking a little bit of a leap of faith. My official prediction, Mighty Mouse.